Hello, everyone. This is Carrot, welcoming you to another episode of the Dihedral Podcast presents Anything But Climbing. Today, we're joined by two unbelievably strong climbers who both together and independently have been putting up hard routes all over the world, including a recent trip to Sutatausa, Colombia. In addition to climbing, Lizzy draws for and curates what might be the most underrated and entertaining site on Instagram at I Never Learned How to Draw Hands. And Paul is the videographer and producer of what might be the best climbing channel on YouTube. Neither of these descriptions is even remotely exaggerated. Their talent on the rock is met with the same level of skill and dedication as their talent as artists. With thousands and thousands of hard routes between them, we have a million climbing questions for today's guest, but that will have to wait for another time. Because for now, we're taking 15 minutes to chat with Lizzy Ellison and Paul Robinson about anything but climbing. Lizzy and Paul, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Pleasure
thank
to be
you.
here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be fun. Well, it'll be interesting at the very least. So our producer, Gaia, will be keeping track of time and calling us out if we mention climbing and cutting us off after 15 minutes. So Gaia, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Lizzy and Paul, are you guys good to go?
Yeah.
Ready.
All right, so let's get started. So for today's topic, I thought it would be cool to talk to you guys about aesthetics. And I'm kind of thinking that we could talk about what we think art is, why we think it's important, and what inspires us to create. And so, Paul, I know it's kind of putting you on the spot to just raise this question right away, but what are some of the things that you think are necessary for something to be considered art?
I think creative passion. I think that is, to me, is where I kind of draw that line of what art is. Because, inherently you could say one thing is good or one thing is bad, but I think as long as there is a level of creativity and passion put behind something, then I don't think there really is like a black and white line to what art is.
Yeah, Lizzy, what do you think? Will you add anything or take anything away? Or what do you think art is?
I actually went a completely different direction. I feel like what makes something art is simply perceiving it as art. So one person might think something is and another doesn't. And to that person, it's art, and to the other, it's not. Like, there's definitely a lot of modern art I've seen where I'm like, that's just a tree stump on a post.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And, I just think it's such a non-definable thing that all it really could be is if you perceive it as such. Yeah.
I think you're right. You really did take it into a different direction. And so one was on kind of the creative side of it, and one was on the perceiving side of it. When I think about art or talk about art, I really get into like this notion of it being a communication model, right? So I think there kind of does need to be a creator and a perceiver. I oftentimes look at art as a way to express, oneself in ways that sometimes words just can't hack, So I'm wondering if you guys can speak on that. Do you guys ever use your own mediums to sort of express yourselves in a way that words couldn't do the trick for?
Oh gosh, I gotta think.
Yes, I think I guess there are so many ways and so many forms of art. I mean, you could say climbing, or I use the word. You could say that is a form of art and representation and things like that. And I think that when I produce videos, that is a really great way for me to produce art in a way that is digestible to a community that may or may not be intrigued by the standard definition of art. As outdoor recreation people.
That's great.
there's just a very large gamut, right, of people who see themselves as creatives, artists, people intrigued by art, etc., and then others who are just there for the pure sake of trying to accomplish something that is difficult for them. And what I think video does is I think video kind of bridges that gap in a lot of ways, because it gives people, for me at least, it gives me a way to create something that I am particularly pleased to share with the world. But at the same time, it's also digestible media for people that just want to watch outdoor recreation videos.
Yep. Paul, I think that's incredibly interesting for a lot of reasons. One is just as we perceive art, we're not always great at perceiving all mediums of art, but what I think people are generally really good at perceiving is art as food and music and videos. And so I don't know, it's kind of interesting to imagine if somebody was trying to do what you were doing 50 years ago, like trying to capture outdoor recreational sports with drawing. If back when people only had drawings, they would be able to be pulled in by the medium in the same way. So I'm wondering what you guys think. Do you think like videography is doing today what maybe sketches did 100 years ago?
I think terms of like artistic expression have really just grown. I mean, technology has provided so many ways to create outside of video. I mean, there's animation, there's photography, there's art that like I don't know if you've ever seen like those crazy like domino piece videos, like
they're amazing.
Or yeah, just things like that wouldn't really have a way of being perceived if it wasn't for technology. And just being able to create anything and share it is huge. And so I don't really know enough about art history to say what other ways people have done that in the past, but I'm sure some people nowadays who, if they were born a couple hundred years ago, would, gosh, I lost the train of my sentence. I'm sure some people would end up being more fine art artists if they were born in the past that nowadays create in far more unconventional ways.
Yeah, I think that's a spectacular point. Right, we could take like the conversation we're having and look at 100 years ago, but especially coming from a coder's perspective, to look 100 years from now is a very similar question. And I think the answer has to be kind of yes. That's what's going to happen. Lizzy, I'm wondering if we could stick with you for a second, and maybe you can explain to us why you think art is important. I'm just assuming you do think art is important, but why?
Let's see. I think there are many different experiences a human can have that people are just naturally drawn to, and aesthetics are one of those. I can't really explain why we see a sunset and are just so pleased with that. Like, I don't know, evolutionarily, if we created this perception of beauty, I don't know, but we have it. And I think art creates a way for us to reframe how we live. Not to get super existential or anything, but that's a little bit of my personality. I think anything really means anything, and a lot of life is just convincing ourselves that we like what we're doing. And art like provides a way to romanticize what could also be looked at as so dull. And again, that's, I think, why perception is so tied up in it. For me, it's it doesn't really matter what it is. It's all about how you look at it, and art creates a way to look at things in a new light. So I'd say that's where its value really comes.
That's spectacular. Our producer
No, I want to
wants
say
to jump
something because
in.
what Lizzy said actually resonated with me a lot, especially now with social media. And you mentioned that before, that now there's so many outlets. It's somewhat saturated. So when you're scrolling through, you see a lot. There's a lot of everything. And you are content creators and you're on social media, you're actively, like when you're scrolling through just leisurely, what makes you stop? Let's say on a reel and you're like, especially Paul, you're a videographer, so you're like very drawn into technical as well. I don't know if maybe you're watching a video and you can see like the technicalities. So maybe they could have done the lighting better, or maybe
All the time
jump cut or something like that.
Yeah.
What makes you stop and say, whoa, this is beautiful? And Lizzy too, like what catches your attention?
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, I think, I mean, color is something that I've always been just so attracted to. And kind of just going back, it's like I see the sky as one color and Lizzy sees it as a color and you guys see it as a color. And it's like, no matter how much I explain to you the color that I see the sky as right now, it's like, your eyes are going to see it slightly differently than my eyes are going to see it. And I think that that's what's so spectacular is and that's kind of like going back to like what Lizzy was saying, is like, it's sharing a moment, a photograph, sharing a series of moments that otherwise would be lost in the past. And I think that that's really, really special. And I think that that's what, I mean, like kind of like what you're saying with these paintings from the past. I think that that's so spectacular because we get to see, a Van Gogh painting. I mean, obviously, an abstract artist, but like just a landscape scene of, somewhere in the Netherlands or something like that he witnessed and then perceived in his fashion and then gave to the world. And then now we get to see that, just even though this was, countless years ago. And so I think that that's what's really kind of special about art. And I think that that's, kind of going back to that, Gaia, your original question was like, what makes me stop is I think there are certain accounts of people that I know have a perspective that I find very intriguing, like Keith Ludzinski, for instance, the photographer. Like when I see his name pop up on my Instagram feed, like I always stop on that photo or video because I know that it's going to be very engaging and just the colors are going to be beautiful. And it's just going to be something that's going to be captivating for me.
Yeah, there's a strong attachment on what you were saying. Like we're talking about perception a lot. Lizzy, you code, correct? You're a coder?
Yeah, I'm still learning. I definitely wouldn't feel confident just taking on whatever you throw at me, but I'm learning. Yeah.
Is there a way, you were talking about romanticizing, and that resonated with me a lot because even sometimes like I look at videos and then I look at the behind the scenes and say, it's amazing how you can romanticize life and moments just with beautiful editing, beautiful music, because when you look at the behind the scenes, it's something so intimate with what's going on with the people. And then there's a way to magnify it when everything post-production comes through. Is there a way to romanticize coding?
Oh, absolutely. I think this is something I just very recently was thinking about. I'm going through this course and I feel like I'm taking in a lot of information and I have no clue what it means. I'm like, cool. Like I hypothetically know a lot, but it's, I haven't really put it into practice. And I think that, just got me thinking. And, I realized I was like, man, I could be working on my own individual projects, like doing my own research on how to do this. So I think that's one part of romanticizing it in a sense, is actually looking at how I want to use it in my own time and getting excited about that. I think you could also look at individual elements of the work that, have some kind of nostalgic meaning to you, or gives you, I don't know, some warm fuzzies, like getting up early, having your cup of coffee, sitting down, whatever it is. If you were one of those people who really just loved academic validation, you can kind of like hype that up in your head, like, oh, look at me, like I am being like it sounds silly, but whatever image is inspiring to you, I think if you try really hard, you can find a way to link that with your day-to-day. And also just working manageably is so important. Nothing's going to be fun if it's not broken up in a way that is actually sustainable for you. So yeah.
Good.
That's good.
I'm gonna apply that in my daily life too.
I know, I want to start coding.
Waking up early, drinking my tea, reading my book.
Yeah.
It's peaceful. I put on those like
It
lo-fi beats to study to, and they
is.
work.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is very zen.
yes. No, me too. I've been waking up like I drop our kid off at school and everything, and then I come back, walk the dog, but then I just like say, I don't know if I should say whatever. I'm gonna say like, lady, you know, the machine, play classical music, and then I'm just drinking my tea, reading my book, eating my breakfast, and then I'm ready to start the day. So it's all part of the process too.
Yeah.
So much.
No, that's all right. So we have like maybe 90 seconds to go.
Ooh.
It goes by quick, right? So I'm just gonna throw out one last question. If you guys could, let's say an evening, go experience some medium of art. And I know it could probably change based on your mood, but let's say you had an evening for Saturday and you each wanted to pick one medium to go check out. What would you pick and why?
Comedy, because laughing is fun. Your turn.
That's great.
A new exhibit at the Denver Art Museum.
That's spectacular. You guys really know.
Never been.
No, but he's saying, well, I mean, I've been to the Denver Art Museum, but he's saying like, if I could pick a perfect evening
Okay.
to go do something,
Well,
that would be
why
great.
have we not done that?
We
Okay.
need
Now
to.
you have your weekend steak.
I know, I feel like a
You do
comedy
one day
show.
and then the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Top it off with some awesome food. You guys, thank you very much. We're out of time. So I wanted to see if there was anything that you guys wanted to plug, personal projects or anything that you wanted to throw out into the whatever world.
Oh gosh. Well, I am just honored that you said I never learned how to draw hands.
It's so fun.
remarkable.
I hate that there's only like 9 things on there. It's great.
That was like
They are
a
so funny.
joke
Seriously, it's
to make, but I do enjoy procrastination doodles. So anyways, check out my
Thriving.
joke drawing account. I never learned
awesome. I love it.
hands. There's lots of great hand doodles.
Not enough. But yeah, please keep them coming.
Not enough.
They're awesome. I'm just excited to kind of continue working down the YouTube rabbit hole, trying to be as consistent as I possibly can. So, you know, it's always fun to see when people comment on the channel and things like that, because it gets me motivated to keep making videos and keep working on big projects.
Yeah, you guys, thank you so much. This is a blast. I knew it would go by really way too quickly, but I appreciate all the time that you gave us today. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you.